You've seen the mountains, you've seen the reels or the videos or those Pinterest or Instagram posts about how beautiful Utah is, and of course, all of that is true. It's all absolutely breathtaking and amazing, and I honestly pinch myself just thinking about that I get to live in this amazing, beautiful place and enjoy it every single day and share it with people just like you that are considering making that move as well. But living in Utah is not all about the outdoors and the scenery and the national parks and everything that attracts millions and millions of people to come here every single year. There are a few surprises that actually hit people after they've made that move that they didn't actually realize before making the move here. And so that's what we're breaking down in this video today. It's everything that you need to know before you make that move to Utah. It's the good, it's the bad, and although there really isn't a whole lot of ugly, there are certain things that you will not find on that glossy brochure or in that travel guide that you've read about how amazing it is to live in Utah. So if you're thinking about moving here to Utah from California or Texas or Arizona or Florida or wherever you're coming from, this video is going to save you months of frustration and provide you with the clarity that you want and that you need in order to make that move confidently. And as a bonus, it's probably going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars as well. Okay, let's start with the question that most people start with in asking this question to themselves to begin with, and that is, can I actually afford to live in Utah? And look, Utah used to be the affordable mountain state that nobody really cared about or knew about, but that's just not the case anymore. Here's the reality. Housing here in Utah has exploded. Salt Lake City and the surrounding metropolitan area have seen prices that have doubled in less than a decade. And even mid-tier homes in places like Lehi or Draper are easily in the high 6s, the 7s, or even the 800s. But here's what's wild. People still think it's cheap to live here in Utah because they're comparing it to so many other places, whether that's California in the Bay Area or Southern California in Los Angeles, or if they're coming from Seattle. In fact, I have multiple people moving here from Seattle right now, 4 people that are moving here just from one city. But I think this is the wrong comparison that we should be making. Because ultimately, the real cost of living that we should actually take into account is how far does your salary actually stretch when living here in Utah? And that's an answer that's going to encompass all of the factors that are really playing into our cost of living, but also your job, your business, or whatever it is that's making you money to make sure that this is the right place for you. And look, Utah's average income is still trailing behind many of the coastal cities, but it has exponentially grown in recent years. The wages here in Utah are on the rise, and I know that a lot of local people that might be dropping comments below are saying that wages are not going up. And of course, that's not the case in some sectors. If you work in retail, if you work in restaurants, you're likely not making any more money. But in so many of the jobs that are attracting people that move here, those wages have been on the rise and have drastically increased, placing Utah in one of the top categories in the top 5 states for pay. And to me, that's pretty incredible. And look, while some things in Utah have gotten more expensive, especially housing, other things are still very affordable compared to other states, like utilities, for example, or property taxes, depending on where you're coming from. All of these costs really play into the big picture. And here's the kicker. The biggest cost that you need to really evaluate when making the move here isn't the cost of housing, it's actually lifestyle creep. Because when you live in this amazing place, surrounded by these beautiful mountains and these great outdoors, with skiing and boating and mountain biking and skiing, like all of these different activities that you can partake in, it's so easy to spend thousands of dollars per year on those new hobbies or those new interests that are driving you here to begin with. So yes, you can live affordably in Utah, but not if you try to live like you're on vacation every single weekend. And I think that's a great perspective to have. Just don't treat it like you're always on vacation and you're likely going to be spending a little bit more wisely. But look, the cost of living is just the beginning, because the culture here, well, that's where it starts to get interesting. Utah has one of the most unique cultural identities in the entire United States of America, and you'll feel it the moment that you get here. So let's talk about it. Utah's population is roughly 42% LDS, or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that many people call Mormons. And even if you're not part of that community, you'll feel like you're kind of being influenced by it in some way or another, or if you're in the wrong neighborhood, you might feel left out. Everything from store hours to social circles to nightlife, it's all shaped by that culture. And here's the truth. Look, it's not a bad thing. In fact, for so many people, it's the driving force as to why they want to move here to begin with. And it's actually one of the best things about living here. It's those family values, that orientation towards family that really sets Utah apart. In fact, almost everybody that reaches out to me are reaching out because they want a place where they can have deep family values that they're just not getting from the place where they're coming from. Beyond that, it's about community and a sense of safety that they're not getting in other places. Utah has all of that and so much more. But look, it's also an adjustment. If you're coming from one of those coastal cities where there's a lot of diversity, you might feel a little left out if it's not those type of people just like you. So that's definitely worth considering as well. And I can promise you this, you will definitely notice that there's less of a nightlife scene here in the state as well. Nobody ever moves here for that reason, but people do make the move here for our community and for that deep sense of family values that so many people are craving right now. And so if you're coming here and you're single and you're looking to date, well, it's a completely different ecosystem here as well. Or if it's a politically driven motivation behind why you're making the move, you might find that Utah is uniquely different than any other place that you've experienced. And listen, I really don't like to talk about politics here on the channel, but I can tell you this, most of the people that reach out to me are bringing up politics as one of the factors as to why they're choosing to move here to begin with. And I do believe that one of the biggest mistakes that newcomers make is feeling that they're just not going to feel like they fit in with the community, and they're not going to feel like they're part of it. But look, Utah has changed so much in recent years, especially in Salt Lake City and Park City and along the tech corridor and down into Utah County in and around Lehigh and Saratoga Springs. These areas have changed drastically in recent years. And with that massive influx of people coming from all over the country and even the world, it's making Utah an incredible place to find your tribe, to find your people, no matter what you're into. And so people just like you that have that same mindset, that have made that same transition or move across the country or to a new state, you'll find people just like that, and you'll be able to fit right in with them as well. And I say this in a lot of my videos, there's a community here for you. You might just have to go find it because it's absolutely here. You just have to plug yourself in. And speaking of finding it, there's one thing about Utah that a lot of people either love or hate or both, and that's the weather. And trust me, you may not actually understand what you're getting into. Look, Utah's weather, our seasons here are incredible. It's really cool to have all 4 seasons. It just might not be incredible to have all 4 seasons within just a couple week period. And sometimes in the springtime or fall time, it feels like just that. Sometimes it feels like we're having all of these different seasons just crammed into a very short period of time. And that's honestly just what you can expect in the springtime and fall time here. But we do have a really good winter and a really good summer and then everything in between. And look, Utah's weather sometimes can be that roller coaster that I've described in the best and the worst ways. You get all 4 seasons, which is awesome, but you also get the extremes. Summers, well, they can be hot and dry. Winters, they can be gorgeous, but sometimes brutal by the time February rolls around. And in between, you've got inversions during that winter time. And that's when the air literally gets trapped in the valleys and trapping in the pollution. And sometimes that really kicks in a lot in January and February, and it's worth being mindful of. On average, we experience about 14 to 17 days per year of inversion weather. So it's really good to know how to navigate that and what to expect. And I've talked about it in many, many videos. So while those Instagram worthy views can be epic and breathtaking, there's also the reality of living here full time, things that you need to know before you make the move here. But here's the trade-off, and this is the deal breaker in my opinion. The access to the outdoors here in Utah is unmatched. It's unreal, and there's no other place like it. You can ski in the morning and mountain bike in the afternoon. You're 30 minutes from world-class powder and 3 hours away from Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, or Arches National Park, as well as 2 others in addition to that. Utah is a playground if you like nature and the outdoors. There's no better place in the country to live, to have access to the city, the metropolitan areas, the international airport, as well as the outdoors, and everything that Utah provides and offers. But if you don't like any of those activities, the winters here can feel long. And so my advice is this: don't move here just because Utah's beautiful. Move here because you actually want to plug yourself in and partake and to participate and take advantage of what Utah really offers. And it's that Utah lifestyle year-round that is so appealing for so many people. And if you can handle the weather here, Utah will really reward you in a way that most people can only dream of, and that's opportunity. Utah's economy is booming. Literally, it's booming more than any other state in the country. It's one of the fastest growing job markets in the country, especially in the tech industry, and it's called Silicon Slopes for a reason. And this is the stretch of area between Lehi and Provo, as well as all the way up into and including downtown Salt Lake City, with companies like Adobe and Qualtrics and dozens of high growth startups filling in this area and these areas with higher paying jobs. But here's what's even better. Remote work has changed everything. You can live here, work for a coastal company, and suddenly Utah feels way more affordable and attainable. The low taxes, the business-friendly laws, and a massive young workforce make this place attractive for entrepreneurs, families, and businesses alike. But it's not all perfect. That same growth that we see in the economy is what's fueling the housing shortage that we're experiencing here. So you need to make your move strategically, and that's why we are here for you. If you're looking at making that move, reach out to us. We're here to guide you throughout that process. So my team and I are here for you. Reach out to me. We'll get in touch and make sure that we can walk you down that path and get you off on the right foot. And I do think that it's important to understand the market as a whole, to know where you really want to plug yourself into, to take advantage of your life in Utah, whether it's really lifestyle driven or job opportunity driven. We want to make sure that you experience the best of the best to make sure that you don't regret your move here. And speaking of where to live in Utah, that's the next big decision that most people get wrong. So look, not all of Utah is the same, nor does it look or feel the same. Salt Lake City gives you diversity, restaurants, nightlife, and that urban core in the state of Utah, and proximity to absolutely everything, but it's also the most expensive and crowded. And if you head south into Utah County in Lehi, Saratoga Springs, and down into and through Provo, you'll find family-friendly neighborhoods, better schools, and newer developments. But traffic sometimes can be a nightmare during rush hour. Then you've got St. George in the southwest corner of the state, basically a mini Arizona, or as I like to compare to Scottsdale, Arizona. It's got the sunshine, and year-round golf in St. George is unbelievable. You've got the palm trees and that resort style of living that so many people are drawn to. And St. George is perfect for retirees and snowbirds and just people that want to have a vacation home or to live that outdoor adventure in the Red Rocks of southern Utah. But wait, there's more. Then you've got Ogden as one of the most affordable of the metropolitan areas in Utah, as well as Logan, that gets you a little bit separated from the hustle and bustle of the major metropolitan areas. And it's these areas that could be more affordable and give you really good access to the mountains that isn't quite as crowded as so many of the other areas. And look, here's my insider tip. Pick the vibe over the price. If you're really outdoorsy, Salt Lake City and Park City are going to feel like home. If you want more space and that sense of community, perhaps Utah County is the place for you. And if you want really calm, laid-back lifestyle, you go down south into St. George or the surrounding areas. But even if you find the right place and the right neighborhood and the right home, not everything can be perfect. Because there's one thing that can completely change your experience, and nobody's really talking about it. Okay, Utah's not perfect. Let's talk about the hidden downsides of living here. These are things that you should know before you make the move. First, it's air quality. The inversion in winter and wildfire smoke in the summertime are real issues. It's not every day, but when it's bad, and it's something to understand and think about and to plan for as to how you're going to navigate that. Second up is diversity. And look, Utah's changing. The people that choose to make Utah their home is drastically changing, and for some people, that's a draw, and for others, they couldn't care less. But if you don't feel like you fit in, because if you're coming from a big city where you don't feel like you fit in, Utah can feel a little isolating for sure. And third is Sundays. A lot of businesses here in the state of Utah close down on Sunday, and that's something that a lot of people need to adjust for. I think it's a great opportunity to get outdoors and experience what Utah really has to offer. And I think most people adapt to that one really easily and quickly. And look, none of these are real deal breakers for so many people. In fact, I would say most people, but they're things that you need to understand as realities of what it's actually like to live here. And like anything else, when you know these things ahead of time, they won't catch you off guard, and you won't be shocked or surprised, and you won't regret your transition or your move. And after everything, after you talk about cost of living and culture and the weather, here's the one thing that I would want to know if I were making the move to Utah myself. So look, most people when they come here, they've moved to Utah and they fall in love with the outdoors, the scenery, and this beautiful place that we get to call home. And let's be honest, the mountains look like a postcard. But what many people don't realize is how much this place can actually change you. Utah forces you to slow down a little bit, to connect a little bit more, and to actually spend time outdoors with people that have a deeper sense of community and family. And so yes, there are things that I wish were different about living in Utah. There were things that could be better, absolutely. The air quality, the winters, the traffic, whatever the thing is that's your trigger as to something you really don't like, these are oftentimes the things that people wish were a little bit different. But what about lifestyle? What about the balance of what it's actually like to live here? What about the access to the great outdoors and adventure? I believe that this makes Utah heads and shoulders above any other place you could live and makes it worth every penny. And so if you're thinking about making the move to Utah, don't just ask yourself, can I actually afford to live there? Ask yourself, can I live it? Can I live that Utah lifestyle? Because if that answer is yes, you're absolutely going to love living here in Utah. So there it is, everything you need to know before moving to Utah. The good, the bad, and the things that people only tell you after they've made that move. Now you can make your decision informed and not surprised. And if you found value in this video or my other videos, I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button for more content just like this. I do these videos each and every week to help serve people just like you moving to or within the state of Utah. And if that's you, reach out to us. We're here to get you started and to make sure that we can start the conversation on the right foot, to make sure that we can guide you down the path of making that move yourself. So reach out to us. You can find our contact information down in the description below. And as always, my real estate team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Or you can book a video call with us in that link that you'll find in the pinned comment on this and every video. And if you're looking to learn more about life in Utah, check out this playlist next. And until the next video, thanks.